Well, if anyone should know what Tyler Clementi was going through, it's former New Jersey Governor Jim McGreevey, who resigned the governorship after famously announcing in August of 2004 that he was a homosexual.
And so my truth is that I am a gay American, and I am blessed to live in the greatest nation.
Joining us now from Plainfield, New Jersey, former New Jersey Governor Jim McGreevey. Governor, welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Chris, thank you.
If I could just get your reaction, when you heard this story that this young man was publicly ridiculed to the point of suicide because of his sexuality, what were your thoughts?
Very sad, Chris. Painful, because so many gay youth go through this process. And as people who have explored gay sexuality understand, that happens one person at a time, one individual at a time. And as opposed to understanding our family history, each person begins to develop a recognition that somehow they're different, they're distinct, and then they're charged with the responsibility of figuring out, well, what is this? And for me, it was coming to an understanding that I was gay, but also for teenagers, coming to that understanding during those years sometimes can be very difficult, very painful, and very lonely.
You know, it was difficult for you. How much more difficult is it for a young man like this, who's a freshman in college? He's got all the pressures of kind of being in this new environment and being out on his own like that.
Yeah, and for the sake of the family, for the sake of the community, the Rutgers community, but if any good comes out of this, Chris, it's been the overwhelming sense of love and affection and remorse and respect for this young man, so that it struck a chord throughout New Jersey, and I think also throughout the nation, that somehow this is profoundly wrong. Yeah. Not only the invasion of privacy, but also transgressing into this man's personal life, and the fact that Tyler felt he had nowhere to go. I mean, the intensity of his pain, the fact that he thought that he hit a brick wall and had no options. Yeah. And I think it struck a chord in all of us that we have to do more as a society, as a people, our church communities, as a government, to make young men and women that happen to be gay welcome and understanding that they have an avenue that they can approach.
Can I ask you what you think should be done to the two classmates of his that posted this video on the internet? You're a former prosecutor. What would you do?
Well, I think on one hand, I'd like to see the toughest maximum be allocated against these young people to send a strong message, because we need to change people's hearts, but we also need to tell people that if they don't do the right thing for the right reasons, they have to be held accountable. But then ultimately, I don't think incarceration is necessarily the right answer, but doing some level of service, working with gay youth, giving back. But what I find so reassuring is not only the response throughout the country, not only the response in the legal community, but God willing, we have had a change of heart with Tyler's tragedy. Yeah. And so that's hopeful. But, so you want to punish these young people who have done something wrong and hopefully turn their lives, but you want to take a greater good out of that. And part of that is, educating people to the tragedies of gay youth, the reality that gay youth attempt suicide so much more than straight youth, and tragically they succeed. And so it's sort of creating avenues of opportunity, whether it's, gay-straight alliances in high school, yeah. Having people educated so that young gay kids have an avenue, have a place to go to.
Governor, let me just ask you one final question here. There are reports this morning that Tyler went to school officials in the days leading up to this. Is the school responsible for not coming to his aid sooner, do you think?
Well, I think, Chris, that investigation is ongoing. But what we need to do, and we passed some of the toughest laws in the country here in the state of New Jersey on anti-bullying. What we need to do is hold people in power and responsibility. We have to have clear lines of allocation. And that is, if somebody comes to an RA, if somebody comes to a teacher or principal and says there's an incident of bullying, it needs swift, effective follow-up. Because as we saw in Tyler's case, and thankfully these cases aren't always as severe or as painful, but we need quick action. It's not the type of thing, Chris, that allows for a long-term deliberation.
Governor, thank you very much for taking the time. It's been wonderful to talk
with you.
Thank you,
and thank you for your focusing on this issue, because God willing, there's some kid out there who says, I can grapple with this, and there are people who are willing to listen.
It is a story that has struck a chord. Governor, thank you. Good talking with you.